Okay, so after been using the Penstar eNote Pro, the color version, the Kaleido 3 e-ink tablet for a whole week now, so it's time for me to do the review video of this really great tablet. So let's begin. So here we have the Penstar eNote Pro. And as you can see, it comes in a really nice cover, as you see here. Really nice. So it's a bit leathery, rubber leathery feeling of it, so it's really nice. But all that you have seen in my unboxing video. In this video I will talk about all the good things with this tablet and all the bad things with it. So let's start by how impressed I am over the Penstar eNote Pro. I think this is really nice, and the best thing with it is that you can search for handwritten text. My WeWood's AI Paper Mini, you can't do that with that, but this tablet you can search for your handwritten notes, and that is amazing. So for example, here are my handwritten notes for this review I'm doing at the moment. I have done, as you see up here, 5 pages of my handwritten notes. All these can be searched on this, even in my language, Swedish. You can search for handwritten text in over 40 different languages. I think that's amazing. That is only that feature, that benefit makes this tablet one of the best e-ink devices I have. Because of that feature, you can search for handwritten notes. That is how important that is. Another really great thing is that battery life seems to be very good at this tablet, and I think the biggest benefit for the battery life is that it doesn't have a Google Play Store. It could be a minus too that it doesn't have a Google Play Store, but I think having Google Play Store with Google services and so on Android, I think that drains the battery more. So this tablet doesn't have Google Play Store or Google services, so I think that's why I have around a week, 7 days or so on one charge by using this very much. One minus though, one thing that's not so good on this is that it doesn't have a fingerprint sensor. I would really love to have a fingerprint sensor instead of having just a PIN code to have it locked, because a PIN code is quite annoying to have to all the time write in to be able to open up the tablet. It's so annoying, so I rather have it without the security of a PIN code. So a fingerprint sensor has made this tablet much better. And another really bad thing is this programmable row here. You don't see that even on video, and that is the minus of it. You can't almost not see those icons as you see there. So it's very hard to know where to tap to push that button. So these buttons can be touched and with the pen. So if you have a pen, you can choose different stuff with this. But as I said, you don't see those. So it's very hard to know where you should tap with a pen. That is quite annoying actually. So that is also a minus. They should have this white or light gray or something to have these icons more visible. And also, as I already said, it's a minus that you don't have Google Play Store, but it could also be a plus, because then battery life will be better. So this doesn't have Google Play Store, but it has other app stores built in from scratch. You can download apps from other app stores, alternative app stores, and you can sideload apps. You can also download from the web. So for me, that is not a problem, because on this tablet I only use for writing and reading. So the writing I do in Penstar's own operating system, and the reading I do from Co-Reader or Readest or Storytel. And these 3 apps, as you see down here, Storytel, Readest and Co-Reader. They are available from the web and also from the alternative app store, so that is not a problem either. So for me, having no app store is actually a plus too, because then you get better battery life and you don't have any notifications from apps and so on, so that is really good to have. Another minus though is that it doesn't have any different refresh modes. You only have one very optimized refresh mode, and that makes the tablet a bit slow for other kinds of apps. But if you only use this for writing and reading, then it's more than enough actually. So it could be quite slow to, for example, go between pages, as you see here. You see? It's a bit slow to do that, but if you're in, for example, Co-Reader, that is very fast. I can show you by going back here and open Co-Reader. If you have Co-Reader here and we open a book, I will sync this book to the latest place I am in. Now when I turn pages, as you see, it's a bit faster than in the writing app. So I think that's more than enough for reading on an excellent display. But the huge plus with having just one optimized refresh mode is that it always cleans the display. You never see any ghosting whatsoever. You have always the perfect e-ink Kaleido 3 color e-ink display. You don't see ghosting whatsoever on this tablet. It's an amazing tablet for that. It's totally without ghosting. I've never seen ghosting on it actually. It's amazing. Another minus is that it doesn't have any support for eNote pens. So you can use any pen you want on this tablet. You can only use the pen that comes with this tablet. So if you lost this pen, you don't have any way to write on the display. You need to buy a new one from Penstar, if that's even possible, I don't know. But with this pen it works exactly as it should, as you see there. So that is a huge drawback for me, because I would love to have EMR support, so you can buy a pen from, for example, Amazon. Another thing that's not maybe the best is that when you have the cover on here and want to grab it here, you can actually click the buttons through the cover, and that is not great, I think, because then you can hurt or damage the buttons probably in the long run. Another thing is that when you are writing with this pen on this tablet, it feels a bit more like writing on glass instead of paper, because it doesn't have any screen protector to make it more paper-like or so, because this is so many layers, because it has Kaleido 3, you have a color layer and so on. So Penstar decided to not have one more layer for you between you and the text. I think that's a good decision probably, because if you have one more layer with a screen protector, paper-like screen protector, then you get even more away from the text when writing. But when writing with this pen, it feels quite much as writing on glass. This nib though makes it a bit better, because it have some resistance when writing, so it feels a bit more like writing on paper thanks to this nib, if you know what I mean. So the nib makes it more you get some resistance when writing, if you know what I mean. It's better for that. So, and one really great thing is this pen holder. It's direct on the tablet itself and not in the case. So you can have only the tablet and have this very sturdy and trustworthy pen holder for the pen. You can never drop the pen in this pen holder. And it feels like it will last forever. Very good build quality, this pen holder. And as I said, one huge plus is the material for the cover. It feels very, very exclusively luxurious, very nice in the hand to hold it. So the cover is actually really good. And also the back side of the tablet is very, very nice to hold. It's a very high quality of the cover. So all in all, this is a very good tablet, and you can write in different colors and so on. Of course, you can both draw and write in different colors. And here we have a way of sorting your notes too. I have made a para system or so, because I have projects, areas. You can close these areas, so you have all the sub-folders under areas. And I have archives. What I don't have is resources yet. That is one category in the para system that I usually use, but this time I have only projects, areas and archives at the moment. But if I open areas again, you see all the different categories in my para system. And you have also an inbox called uncategorized. That is where all the notes are getting in. When you just type new note from this or from the home page, you can do a new note too here. Then they get into the uncategorized inbox. So if I go into categories again here, you see uncategorized. Here I have just a test note, the first note I tested when I got this. So now if we go to different tools here, we can choose the marker, we can choose different colors down here. So for example, we can choose rose. And now I do large to see the color. You see here, rose. And now I can go back to change to another color. We can do blue, for example. As you see the colors are quite muted, if you know what I mean. But I think they are more than enough to do nice things with this tablet. We can do the yellow here, we can do a yellow here, and we can go up here and choose red. So for example, we can do a red line here, and we can go up and do black. So you see, you can do drawings and text notes in different colors if you prefer. So that is also one great thing with this tablet. And I think that the note section is the section I use the most. You can connect your email here too, but I've done that with my Gmail, but not something I use so much really. And of course you can install different apps. Here we have the system apps that comes with the tablet. You can do voice to text, for example. That's pretty nifty, and using AI to convert your voice to text in different languages, 40 different languages, works great. And you have a camera, by the way. I haven't used it yet, but this camera on the back side is more for scanning documents and so. And when you do that, they are getting into the gallery here. You can install apps from different app stores or from the web, for example. Here I have installed Brave, Readest, Gboard, File Explorer, for example, Co-Reader, Storytel. So that is also something that is more than enough for me. I don't use any different kinds of apps so much on this tablet, because this tablet is, as I said, for writing and reading and nothing else. So I think that's what this tablet is used for and is meant to be used for. So I think that's maybe it for this review. You can find links down below where you can buy this tablet, and as I said, I can highly recommend this tablet. I think it's amazing for what it's meant to be used for. If you want to use this for writing and reading, you can't find any better tablet for that for this price, I think. So I think this is an incredible good tablet for having as a notebook. Because you can search all your notes you are written, and you can search in your own language, probably because it supports 40 different languages. And when reading, you have no ghosting whatsoever, ever. So if you're reading in co-reader or Readers, for example, you will not see any ghosting, never, ever. I promise you that. And I think it's quite good to have in color. Sometimes I usually said that I don't want to have colored ink, but for example on this really huge 10.3 inch tablet, you see a cover in color, and I think it looks gorgeous to have these covers. I've set this to automatically show the cover from co-reader. So when I read a book in co-reader, it sets that as my screensaver. And I think that could be really nice to have on your tablet. I said Kaleido 3 is not as good for a reader on a smaller device, but if you have it on a large tablet that is meant for note-taking, I think Kaleido 3 is great, because then you want to have the paper as white as possible, so you need to have the front light on. And by the way, it also have warm light, and the warm light is awesome. You can get it very warm. So for if you really want to have warm light at the evening, for example, then you can definitely have that on this, the Penstar eNote Pro. But if you are against Kaleido 3, then I must say that on these kinds of devices, I think Kaleido 3 is great, because then you want to have it as white as possible, and then you always want to have front light on to have it as white as possible. So I think it fits perfectly fine for these kinds of devices. Okay. Bye.